had to gain their own independence from Great Britain to form the USA, but that's all bullshit. All right? Great Britain, Spain, Portugal, these are all the same motherfuckers. All right? These are all draconian reptilian owned, Pleiadian owned. All right? This whole realm is ran by the 13 families, all right, which is the original 13 bloodlines, and they are all the highest ranking human being families. And I told you who they checked in with. They was checking in with the draconian reptilians and the Pleiadians, who are the extraterrestrial races who run the whole damn realm, who got us under this vast system. Okay? Now, and I've been told you that the draconian reptilians on a higher level are really the fallen gods posing as draconian reptilians. And these fallen gods all work for Zeus, aka Satan. So we know what's going on here. All right? So let's stay locked in. Now, they call this Florida because this is what the Spanish named it. All right? They named it Spanish Florida. Florida is a Spanish name. All right? Now, but this land before it became present-day Florida, it was the last bit of land that was owned by a certain group of us that they called Florida Seminoles. All right? And the Florida Seminoles, they are feared. They are still feared and respected to this day. All right? Because of how hard they fought. Now, like these Cherokee Indians, they made a lot of Cherokees go into Indian territory in Oklahoma, across the Mississippi. Yes, they did. But not all of us, though. Only so many. Why? Because we are everywhere. So, all your present-day black people that's living in Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Kentucky, Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia, all of them are the descendants of Cherokee. So if you live in any of these states, you Cherokee. You Cherokee. Your bloodline gonna trace back to Cherokee. You go back a few generations, it's gonna be Cherokee. Now you can break it down to Choctaw and all of that. You can go, it's gonna be Cherokee. If you in them states and anybody in Florida, you're gonna be Seminole. They not gonna tell you that. I'm telling you that though. Because most tribes, they didn't kill us all off. They only killed off the strongest ones. Then what would happen was when we would go to war with them, they would attack certain tribes. We would go to war with them. The strongest ones always died or became or were captive. All right. So that left the other ones, like, okay, well, we not finna fight. We just gonna comply. They never moved these so-called Indians out of any of these states. Some went to Indian territory in Oklahoma, and that was just out of the Cherokee Nation. They didn't move to all the Illinois. They didn't move them off. They killed the leaders off, and then once they gave in, they forced them to sign the land over, and then they renamed them. All right? And they did this in every region and every state. But with these Florida Seminoles, man, the spirit of these individuals is still there in the Floridians to this day. Why you think all the craziest stories come out of Florida? We know all the craziest shit that be going on. Them stories come out of Florida. Why? Because the spirit is still there in Florida. Ancestral energy, it never leaves, y'all. It's still there. It's on every single being with carbon in them. If you got carbon in you, it's on you. It's in you and it's on you. And these Florida Seminoles fought hard. And the reason they are to be talked about is because they are one of the last tribes that was still in tune with the deepest of the ancient magics, where they was communicating with the animals. They was one with the alligators and the snakes and the white copperheads down in them Everglades. What the Florida Seminoles accomplished against the Spanish conquistadors was nothing less of amazing compared to what they had been reduced to. But this story is going to teach you how we are connected to nature and how they used it to hold these beings off for so long. And then, eventually, by like 1850, they eventually got Florida. But they still respect it to this day. That Seminole name. All right? So let's look at it. Let's look at history and see how they lied and tried to hide shit. So, boom. These are the Seminole Wars. All right? Let's talk about it. The Seminole Wars, also known as the Florida Wars, were three related military conflicts in Florida between the United States Army and the Seminoles, a Native American group which had coalesced in the Spanish Florida during the early 1700s. Now, they lying right there. Of course, we are not Native Americans. These were black people. Remember, the Florida Seminoles were black. All right? They want you to believe that Native Americans were separate from black people, that they were a separate group of people. No, these were black people. But they got to call us Native Americans to hide us from us. All right? So, and when they say during the early 1700s, no, this fight started from the moment they landed. So this fight with the Seminoles was the original war that was going on since 1452. It's just the Seminoles was the last tribe to hold out. All right, basically after the Seminoles, then we became African Americans. Put it like that. All right, so the fighting occurred between about 1816 and 1858, with 2 periods of uneasy truce between active conflict, both in human and monetary terms. The Seminole Wars were the longest and most expensive of the Indian wars in the United States history. All right, so I told y'all, even to this day, it's the most respected. That war they have with the Seminoles, they ain't never lost as many lives as they did in that Seminole War. Not even in the Civil War. Even in the Civil War, they didn't lose as many people as they did in that Seminole War. All right, like the Seminoles fucked them up for a very long time. That's what you got to know. These were black people. Fucked them up for a very long time. A very, very, very long time. A lot of people became famous in this war. That's where Andrew Jackson got his stripes at in the first Seminole War. Your president, Andrew Jackson, the one they always want to show. When he was in the war, he was a general in that war. See, General Andrew Jackson. All right? So we finna talk about the first Seminole War. The first Seminole War began with General Andrew Jackson's excursions into West Florida and East Florida against the Seminoles after the conclusion of the War of 1812. All right? The governments of Great Britain and Spain, same motherfucker, don't be fooled, y'all. Great Britain and Spain, they want you to think they're two different people. Same motherfuckers. This is how they get you. They split themselves up into 12 different anomalies, and you think these 12 different people. No, these are the same motherfucker. All right? Great Britain and Spain, same motherfucker. Both expressed outrage over the invasion. Lies. All right? So let's talk about how the whole war starts, okay? So, as you can see, notice it's 3 different wars. You got the first Seminole War, the second Seminole War, then the third one. So you know this was a serious war. They got 3 separate wars. You get what I'm saying? 3 separate wars. Your ancestors was gangsters. And you know, this Wikipedia. Wikipedia still ain't gonna tell you the real. That's what I'm here for. I'm just showing you some of what Wikipedia is saying because they on the head with it. You gotta remember, Wikipedia they not letting you know that these are black people. Wikipedia is telling you they Native Americans. I'm telling you this yo black people. This black people. They talking about us, man. All right? So they telling you a lot of truth right here because they like, well, black people don't know that these are their ancestors we're talking about. They're going to think we're talking about some goddamn Native Americans who are separate from them. So right now they think they talking over our head. But long as we know that we are the fucking Indians that never existed, all right, then we know what the fuck is going on right here. Shit right here gonna make a lot more sense to how shit became where it is today. All right, so General Andrew Jackson's excursions into West Florida and East Florida, and they call it excursions. You see that? You see this word? Excursions. Nigga, you literally invaded our motherfucking ancestors' land, nigga. Y'all had already hold on. Get it understood. Let's get it understood. These bitches had already took all the Cherokee land. They had already killed off most of the Illinois. You get what I'm saying? And then they come down here into Florida trying to fuck with them. You know what I'm saying? And they couldn't get that last bit. They had everything else already, and they still want. This how greedy they is. The Seminoles was the last tribe to hold off. That means they had already conquered California, all this was conquered. California is named after a black goddess. That's a whole nother lecture, though, that I'm going to give y'all. How they did our black tribes over there in California was ridiculous. Then name the fucking state after the head high priest goddess of the tribe, Miss California.